The silent signal. How to know she's already yours. Most men spend their entire lives caught in a exhausting cycle of second guessing, wondering if the woman they admire actually likes them, or if they are just reading into a polite conversation. They waste hours overanalyzing a single text message, dissecting every comma and response time, and replaying past interactions in their heads until they are trapped in a state of constant anxiety. This mental loop is where most men fail because they are looking for the wrong things. They are waiting for a clear verbal declaration, a loud, unmistakable, I like you, that rarely ever comes in the early stages of attraction. Real attraction isn't something that is spoken, it is something that leaks out. It manifests in subtle micro patterns and quiet shifts in behavior that reveal her true internal state long before she ever admits it to herself. When a woman begins to do this, she isn't just interested in you, she is already emotionally invested. If you know how to look for it, you can see her entire perspective of you changing in real time, moving from a stranger to a person of significance in her world. The shift begins when she stops performing and starts existing in your presence. Women rarely lead with their true feelings because vulnerability is a massive risk. Instead, they signal their interest through a profound shift in their energy. When a woman is genuinely drawn to you, her natural defenses, those heavy emotional walls built from years of past disappointments, bad dates, and social expectations, begin to thin and lower. You will notice that her energy changes from being polite and guarded to being open and authentic. She starts revealing her true self piece by piece, sharing small quirks, hidden thoughts, or personal stories she wouldn't tell a casual acquaintance. This isn't random, it's a subconscious test of safety. She is essentially checking to see if you are a man who can handle her reality without judgment. The biggest mistake you can make during this phase is focusing on her words while ignoring the rhythm of her behavior. If she is opening up her inner world to you, she is handing you the keys to her emotional heart. When this investment happens, her behavior takes on a new level of consistency that wasn't there before. She begins to prioritize your presence, making subtle adjustments to her life to ensure she is in your orbit. You'll see it in the way she lingers at the end of a conversation, or how she finds small, seemingly accidental reasons to reach out to you. These aren't just coincidences, they are the external signs of an internal shift. She is no longer just observing you from a distance, she is actively integrating you into her mental space. Her defenses aren't just coming down, they are being replaced by a sense of comfort that allows her to be vulnerable. This is the silent signal, the moment where the tension of the chase transforms into the weight of emotional connection. If you can stop looking for the perfect words and start paying attention to the way her energy softens, the way her eyes linger, and the way she trusts you with her authentic self, you will realize that you don't have to guess anymore. You will simply know. Subconscious mimicry and the safety check. One of the most powerful and undeniable indicators of a deep emotional connection is a phenomenon known as neurological mirroring. This isn't something a woman does on purpose to impress you. It is a biological, deep seated response that happens when her subconscious mind decides that you are a person of value and safety. When a woman starts matching your tone of voice, adopting your specific slang or phrases, or even syncing her physical rhythm and body language with yours, the dynamic has shifted. She is no longer performing a social role or maintaining a polite distance. Instead, her nervous system has reached a state of safety in your presence. For a woman, safety is about much more than just physical protection. It is about emotional attunement, the feeling that her internal world is in harmony with yours. This mirroring is the ultimate green light. It's her brain's way of saying that the walls are down and she is ready to connect on a visceral, instinctive level. You can see this internal shift manifesting in the way she interacts with the world around you. When a woman feels this level of safety, she begins to laugh more freely, not just at your jokes, but as a release of the tension that usually exists between strangers. Her eye contact changes from darting and observant to soft, warm, and sustained. the kind of look that lingers just a second longer than necessary. She starts to initiate personal disclosures, sharing small vulnerabilities or secrets that she doesn't tell just anyone. This is her way of inviting you into her private reality. At this stage, she is already emotionally attached. She has moved past the phase of evaluation and has entered the phase of investment. Her subconscious has already done the math and decided that you are someone worth being real with. She is aligning her energy with yours because, on a biological level, she wants to be part of your world. However, this is the exact moment where the majority of men ruin everything they've built. Because they sense this sudden surge of connection and intimacy, they feel a rush of excitement that quickly turns into a need for reassurance. They feel the shift, and instead of staying grounded, they immediately rush in with validation seeking behavior. They start asking, "Where do we stand?" They become overly agreeable, or they start trying too hard to please her because they are terrified of losing this new closeness. On the other hand, some men sense the intensity and become overwhelmed, causing them to doubt themselves and pull back into a cold, distant shell. Both of these reactions are fatal to attraction because they both signal emotional instability. They show her that your calm was just a mask and that your internal state is actually dictated by her actions. The truth you must understand is that when she begins to synchronize with you, she has already made an internal choice. Even if she tries to fight it logically or hide it behind a bit of playful distance, the choice has been made deep within her psychology. She has realized that you feel different from the rest. She has felt a rare sense of peace and alignment in your presence that she doesn't find elsewhere. Your only job in this critical window is to remain the man who got her there, the one who is centered, certain, and completely unbothered. If you can maintain your composure while she opens up, you prove that you are the emotional anchor she's been looking for. She doesn't need you to chase her more or apologize for being yourself. She needs you to stay steady so she can continue to surrender to the connection she's already started to build. The paradox of emotional surrender. You have to realize that for a woman, attraction isn't a logical decision she makes after checking off a list of requirements. It is a visceral, subconscious surrender. She doesn't sit down and choose to be attracted to you. It is a feeling that washes over her when she senses a specific type of masculine energy. This surrender is a high stakes emotional move, and she will only ever perform it for a man who provides a very rare and precise balance of stability and unpredictability. She needs to know you are a rock she can lean on, but she also needs to feel that you aren't a boring, solved puzzle that she can fully predict. When she interacts with you, she is constantly scanning for this balance. When she leans in a little closer than social norms require, or when she lingers in a conversation that logically should have ended 10 minutes ago, she isn't just being nice. She is actively testing your energy. She isn't asking a logical question, like, "Does he like me?" She is asking a much deeper biological question. Is this man grounded enough and certain enough in himself that I can finally let my guard down and stop being the one in control? The biggest mistake you can make in this delicate moment is falling into the trap of over explaining yourself or trying to prove what a good, moral, or high value guy you are. When you start explaining your motives or trying to convince her of your worth, you're actually communicating the exact opposite of what she needs to feel. To her nervous system, your need to explain yourself feels like emotional weakness and a lack of self assurance. It signals that you are seeking her approval to feel okay about who you are. You have to understand that by trying to earn her attraction through words, you are actually pushing it away. You are trying to buy something that was already being freely given to you through her interest. Attraction is a fragile thing that evaporates the very second she senses that you need her to feel it. The moment she detects that her validation is the oxygen you breathe, she loses the ability to look up to you, and the mystery that fuels her desire vanishes instantly. What she truly craves in this exchange is to feel your absolute composure, especially when her own emotions are fluctuating or when she is putting pressure on the interaction. She wants to see if you are a man who remains unchanged by her moods. When she acts a bit distant, when she challenges your opinion, or when she becomes playfully difficult. She is inviting you to meet her where she hides, behind her defenses. If you respond to her storms with a calm, unbothered confidence, you are passing the ultimate test. You are showing her that you are an emotional anchor that can handle her complexity without getting flustered or defensive. This steady, grounded response is what makes the bond solidify into something real. It tells her that she doesn't have to be the strong one around you, and that realization is the most addictive feeling a woman can experience. By simply remaining centered and refusing to chase her validation, you create a vacuum of masculine certainty that pulls her closer than any amount of proving yourself ever could. Handling the testing phase. Once a woman becomes truly invested in you, her behavior can suddenly become confusing, paradoxical, and even frustrating. Just when things seem to be going perfectly, she might abruptly pull back, act colder, or become completely unpredictable in her responses. This is the moment where most men fail. They feel the sudden distance and immediately panic, assuming they've done something wrong or that she has lost interest. But in reality, the opposite is often true. She isn't pulling away because she likes you less. She's pulling away because she's starting to like you too much. You have touched an emotional nerve she didn't plan for, and now her logical mind is fighting her heart. For a woman who has been hurt, let down, or disappointed in the past, vulnerability feels like a massive risk. This testing phase is her subconscious defense mechanism kicking in. It's her way of checking if you are actually the strong, grounded man you've appeared to be before she fully commits her heart to you. The trap most men fall into during this phase is the chase. When they feel her distance, they start texting more frequently, demanding explanations for her change in mood, or overanalyzing every small interaction. They think that by putting in more effort, they can force the connection back to where it was. However, this is the worst thing you can do. When you chase her in response to her pulling back, you confirm her deepest fear that your calm confidence was just an act. You show her that your emotional state is dependent on her, which her instincts read as a sign of weakness. To her, a man who panics when she is distant is a man who cannot handle the storms of a real relationship. She needs to know that you are a mountain, unshaken by the wind, the rain, or the shifting tides of her emotions. If you react with desperation, you prove that you aren't the emotional anchor she needs, and her defenses will go right back up. The secret to passing this test is to remain absolutely steady and unshaken. You must have the strength to let her have her space without taking it personally. When she acts cold or distant, you don't respond with coldness of your own, nor do you respond with clinginess. You simply remain the same centered, purposeful man you were when she first met you. This tells her nervous system that you are safe. It proves that your self-worth isn't tied to her validation and that you are capable of holding space for her chaos without losing your own mind. When she realizes that her pulling away doesn't rattle you, she will naturally relax back into your energy. She will see that you don't need to be managed or reassured, and that realization allows her to stop fighting her feelings and start trusting yours. Ultimately, the man who masters this phase is the one who understands the difference between reacting and responding. Reacting is a reflexive move born out of fear. Responding is a conscious choice born out of strength. When you don't take her fluctuating moods personally, you signal that you have the emotional containment to lead the relationship. You aren't judging her for being unpredictable. You're simply providing a stable environment for her to return to when she's ready. This is the exact moment when her feminine instinct fully surrenders. She stops trying to protect herself because she feels that your presence is a sanctuary, a place where she can be soft, vulnerable, and real without the fear of you breaking under the pressure. By staying grounded while she tests the waters, you turn a moment of potential conflict into the very foundation of a lasting, unbreakable bond. Sustaining the gravity. Real attraction is never a one-time trophy you win and then place on a shelf. It is a living, breathing force that requires constant maintenance. Most men make the fatal mistake of thinking the work is over once they've secured a woman's interest or started a relationship. They think they've crossed the finish line, so they stop doing the very things that made them attractive in the first place. But you have to understand that once a woman is emotionally invested, her internal radar doesn't shut off. It actually becomes more sensitive. She is constantly, though often subconsciously, scanning your life and your energy for one specific thing: alignment. She is asking herself, is this man actually who he appeared to be when we first met? Or was it all just a performance? This isn't her being judgmental, it's her nervous system looking for long term safety. If your actions, your words, and your energy stay consistently aligned with the strong, centered man she first encountered, she stays attached. But the moment you become complacent, the moment you stop leading, stop growing, or let insecurity dictate your moves, the gravity that keeps her pulled toward you begins to weaken. The uncomfortable truth that most men never learn is that women rarely leave because they simply stop loving you. Love is usually the last thing to go. Instead, they leave because they no longer feel safe loving you. In this context, safety doesn't mean you're a good provider or that you're physically strong. It means you are emotionally reliable. If you become a man whose mood shifts based on her approval, or if you become a man who lacks a mission outside of the relationship, her feminine instinct will sense a lack of foundation. She begins to feel like she is the one holding up the emotional weight of the partnership, and that is the ultimate attraction killer. When she feels she has to manage your emotions or walk on eggshells to avoid bruising your ego, she can no longer relax into her own softness. She stops looking up to you and starts looking for an exit. Not because the love is gone, but because the respect, the true bedrock of masculine feminine polarity, has eroded. To sustain the gravity of your presence, you must realize that your inner peace is actually your most powerful form of attraction. You don't need to rely on grand, expensive gestures or constant stage managed romantic moments to keep her interested. What you actually need is emotional integrity. This means being a man of your word and staying rooted in your own individual purpose. Your mission, your fitness, your career, and your personal growth must remain your primary focus. When you stay dedicated to your own path, you project an energy of groundedness. You become the emotional anchor in her life, the one point of stability in a world that is often chaotic and changing. She needs to see that while you value her and love her, your identity and your happiness do not revolve around her validation. When she knows that you are whole with or without her approval, she feels a magnetic pull to stay by your side because your strength isn't conditional. The moment you make her validation your primary goal, the polarity that fuels attraction dies instantly. If you become a yes man or start acting out of a fear of losing her, you are essentially telling her that she is the leader of the relationship. This creates a vacuum where masculine leadership used to be, and her attraction will evaporate because she can no longer trust your direction. You must maintain your edge. Keep your focus on your own evolution and never stop being the man who is striving for more. By mastering your calm and staying centered, regardless of the highs and lows of life, you become something much more than just a boyfriend or a partner. You become an unforgettable presence. You become the man she respects so deeply that the thought of losing your grounded energy is unthinkable to her. Sustain that respect, maintain your own internal world, and the gravity of your attraction will only grow stronger over time.